What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel, MMA show. Today's video, we're coming back to my favorite fighter, somebody that I have to talk about, and especially after this insane Robert Whittaker win. I got to talk about Khamzat Chimaev. He's the guy that I've been waiting to see get thrown into the spotlight since 2020, since his debut in the UFC, where he just took the UFC by storm. Dana White himself said at the time we had never seen anybody like Khamzat Chimaev. He was truly something special with the way he commands the microphone, with his honesty, with his unwavering confidence in his ability, and then the skill set to match it. Just somebody so dominant that was just running through people in a way that we've never seen. We've never seen in the UFC. Finishing, just going in with that aggressive nature. And a lot of people thought really at the beginning, man, this guy might actually be able to take a run at the title. And this is back in 2020 when Kamaru Usman was the champ. People thought, man, he might be able to actually even beat Kamaru Usman right now. And this is after he had fought two guys. Then Gerald Meerschaert knocked him out. And then they had set up the bout versus Leon Edwards. So they threw him at the top of the heap. And they felt, I think the UFC felt that he was going to come out victorious and dominate against Leon Edwards, who later on went on to become the champion. So that was a big step up, and people were favoring Khamzat in that fight. Now, that fight got canceled because Khamzat Chimaev came down ill with COVID twice. So those were two cancellations, really one cancellation. They extended the fight, hoping that it would be able to take place, but they couldn't. And then Leon got sick once with COVID as well and had to pull out. So that never came to fruition. That was really unfortunate. Khamzat had some health problems lingering from the COVID infection and didn't come back till quite some time later and wasn't able to take the Leon fight. But anyways, we go back to that time where people had these ideas that maybe he could be the champ already. This is crazy. And then look what happened several years later. He did fight Kamaru Usman and he won very dominantly. And then went on recently, just a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, and beat Robert Whittaker, arguably one of the greatest middleweights of all time, and beat him in the first round in 3.5 minutes while taking maybe two shots. I think were thrown, two significant strikes were thrown by Robert Whittaker. I mean, this is insane what he pulled off, and it's absolutely amazing. But what I wanted to talk about today is not just how amazing Khamzat Chimaev is and the fact that I do think he will be the greatest fighter of all time when all is said and done. I think he's got a tremendous chance of becoming the first triple champ of all time as well. But I'm not even talking about that. What I want to talk about today and focus on is this narrative, even after this impressive win, the narrative of Khamzat Chimaev, for whatever reason in the press and even people, and what I'm going to show you today is a clip from Ariel Helwani, one of my favorite journalists in the space. So don't think that I'm trying to just take shots at Ariel. But what I'm going to show you today is, for some reason, the way that we have viewed Khamzat Chimaev in the press and the media, it's just really, really unfair. Maybe it's because the expectations were just that high, but it really doesn't make sense when you listen to how people, even people as informed as and knowledgeable and as intelligent as Ariel, talk about it. I think he would even agree with what I'm about to show you right now and my take on what he's saying about Khamzat Chimaev, because I just think his accomplishments and the things that he does are just always underrated, because we look at him as like this juggernaut, this superhuman athlete that should just be able to steamroll everybody. So it's like he does this to Robert Whittaker, and we're kind of like, cool, that was phenomenal, and it was amazing. People are giving him his flowers, but I think that's what we expected he would do to every opponent after we saw what he did to his first three in the UFC. And when it falls short of that, yet he still gets a win, people are unimpressed. So anyways, I'm going to show you what Ariel Helwani, greatest journalist in the sport of mixed martial arts, I think we can all agree on that without a doubt. I'm going to show you what he had to say, and we are going to comment as he kind of describes us. Here we go.
I thought, this would be a 5-round, maybe 4-1, 3-2 win for Robert Whittaker. It lasted a little over 3 minutes. That was it. 3:34 to be exact. Round 1. Face crank. Submission for Khamzat Chimaev.
By the way, I want to mention something about the face crank. If you watch the UFC video kind of teeing up the Robert Whittaker Khamzat Chimaev fight, you see Khamzat Chimaev, watch it again, when he's training wrestling, you see him actually putting a face crank almost identical to what he did to Robert Whittaker in sparring. It's insane. Like, he wraps the guys who is sparring with him, wrestling with, he wraps his arm around the face and same thing and starts cranking it. So I wonder if this was a technique that he has been practicing and perfecting, and maybe because he realized that he's got the strength differential and this incredible power, that face cranks for him, for whatever reason, are extremely effective. So I think there's a lot more to the story. I'd love to know if that is the case, although Khamzat very infrequently does interviews, so I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, let's keep watching.
Opinion, perhaps his most impressive win since the early days when we were introduced to this guy. Remember back in the midst of the pandemic.
So now he's going to talk about the historic rise, the amazing rise of Khamzat Chimaev, where he had 2 fights within 10 days, and he knocks out Gerald Mearshart. He does all these crazy things. So watch this.
July of 2020, the John Phillips win starches him. The Reese McKee win starches him. Comes back, and that was within the span of 10 days. Comes back a little over a month later and starches Gerald Mearshart at 185. The first 2 fights were at 170.
I don't think that's right, by the way. I'm going to double check that. I don't believe, I think he did 1 fight at middleweight, then went down to 170, then went back up to middleweight. That's my recollection. Hold on, let me see. Because I remember everybody's like, oh my God, he took 2 fights back to back within 10 days. And the second fight, he had to cut weight, which is crazy, right? You would imagine if he did it back to back, if the first fight was at welterweight and then he just didn't cut weight for the second one, that would make a little bit more sense. But he did something so crazy. I'm just double checking. We have John Phillips, yeah, middleweight, and then Reese McKee is, let's see if I'm remembering this right. That's middleweight bout. And then it doesn't say the weight division here. Hold on. Rare. Let me see if I can find it this way. Khamzat Chimaev versus Reese McKee. Why does it not say the weight division, weight class? Welterweight. Yeah, so I'm right. That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, Ariel almost never makes mistakes. That was just a very minor mistake, but just want to correct that on the record.
185. Then it was 3 cancellations against Leon Edwards. Then it was a solid, very solid, dominant first round win over Li Jingliang. All right, he's still there. Then it was an okay, solid, strong, good performance against Gilbert Burns, but it didn't knock our socks off.
This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, so he goes in, and just going back to the list, I mean, the way that he's describing it, Gerald Mearshart destroys Li Jingliang, who's no slouch. Li Jingliang is a very dangerous opponent, destroys him. Then he goes in and fights Gilbert Burns, who at the time I think was ranked like 1 or 2 in the welterweight division. And he said, it's not that impressive, dude. He jumped up massively in the rankings after these other fights. That was by far his toughest competition, and he won. So again, it's just so weird. And maybe this should be taken as like a compliment, because Khamzat Chimaev is so dominant and people are expecting, just tremendous things. I don't really know, but I just don't get it. Like, I just feel like it's such an unfair narrative. He won. He went in and dominated. So anyways, you're going to see this continue. So let's keep watching.
Then it was the Holland win that we all thought, all right, you were expected to do that to Diaz. And we all kind of expected this, especially on short notice. Then
this is crazy. Expected this on short notice. It was short notice for both of them. What is Kevin Holland at such a massive disadvantage? He's only at a massive disadvantage because Khamzat is such a terrifying and difficult opponent. They're both on short notice. So that win was so impressive to me. He just destroyed Kevin Holland. People are saying, I've heard people say Kevin Holland's not that good, and so that wasn't that impressive. Has anybody else ever done that to Kevin Holland? No, you think Kevin Holland just rolls over and just gets smoked by everybody? That was so tremendously impressive. And he was supposed to fight Nate Diaz, and then he got moved up to, last minute had to fight Kevin Holland. That was a whole scandal. You can say that he missed weight and that was his fault, but there's more to that story. He even said, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I almost feel like the UFC wanted that to happen from the get-go. They kind of started to figure that maybe this was a bad look to have him go against Nate Diaz, because he was probably going to steamroll Nate Diaz just like he did to Kevin Holland. And I think they started to realize like that was going to be a bad play for them and garner a lot of negative attention. So anyways, that aside, what he did, how can you just brush that aside? Amazing. Okay, let's keep going.
And it was the not so impressive Kamaru Usman win. And we thought if it went 2 rounds more, Usman wins. Then it's the...
How is it not so impressive? Okay, this is so crazy. I have to believe that Ariel knows that, or if he thinks back on this, this is just wild. What he did to Kamaru Usman, rewatch that fight. I just rewatched it. I've rewatched it like 4 times. I just rewatched it again last night. Watch what he does to Kamaru Usman. First of all, he goes in and ragdolls him on the ground. In that first round, he had his back the entire time. Landing strikes, got a 10-8 on all the judges' scorecards, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure it was 10-8 across the board. He dominated. Kamaru Usman didn't get any strikes in. Also, look at the last round. He secures a takedown, is on top of him, mounts him, throwing strikes, advancing positions the entire time. They get back up on their feet at the end, and then they both throw a barrage of strikes. He clearly won that fight. I don't understand how that's not so impressive. Nobody ever did that to Kamaru Usman before. Yeah, you had Leon Edwards win a decision, and he also had, won by a head kick knockout, but he was losing that entire fight. This was groundbreaking. This was insane what he did to Kamaru Usman. And to say that it wasn't that impressive because Kamaru would have won theoretically if the fight went on 2 more rounds to 5 rounds, how can you say something like that? How can you just make up a thing and be like, hey, it was kind of impressive, but if this fight went for 20 rounds, I think he would have lost. So it's not that impressive. I just don't get it. Like you would manage your energy and your exertion based on how many rounds there are. So why wouldn't you leave it all on the table if you're going 3 rounds? It just doesn't. I don't get it. And again, this is not. I'm not trying to criticize Ariel. This is what everybody's doing and kind of how everybody sounds. And I'm trying to understand why it's like this. Why people are looking at his rise, which is an amazing rise to stardom and to recognition for what he's able to do. Why it's just not, I don't know why people are looking at his victories this way. So just pointing this out, and we'll continue along. Let's keep it going.
Year off, and in the midst of that, a cancellation against Robert Whitaker back in June, and then he does this to Whitaker, who looked so good back in June in Riyadh against Ikram Aliskerov. This is the type of performance that we were all expecting from Khamzat back in 20 and 21. This is the kind of guy that we all believed would be a champion probably by the end of 21. I said that with DC. You can see the clip. It's online on the YouTube channel for ESPN MMA. And he's back, and I couldn't have gotten this wrong. He didn't seem all there to me all week. The weigh-in looked a little bit troublesome. Couldn't have gotten this more wrong, and I have no problem saying that.
So it's pretty cool that at least he does come out, and because Ariel's a respectable guy, he'll be happy to I think say that when he's wrong, and he's probably happy to be wrong, because I think we're all excited to see what Khamzat can do, because I think Khamzat is the future of the UFC, as I've said in other videos. And yeah, he showed us who he is. He came back out, he did what he did. I think he's made fixes and adjustments to his camp. He's ensured that he's being as healthy as possible. I know a lot of people were worried maybe he's just going to have lingering health issues that's going to keep him sidelined and maybe prevent him from ever reaching his dreams and his true potential. But I think he's done the work. He's got the best team. He's training in the mountains of Russia. I mean, it's like a movie. If you watch that UFC video leading up to the Khamzat Chimaev Robert Whitaker fight, it is so incredible what he's done and what he's had to get through and get over to reascend back to the top. And now he fought Robert Whitaker, smoked him, absolutely annihilated him. And I just can't wait to see what's next. And I believe the title shot is next. Dricus du Plessis. Khamzat is going to get in there, and I think he's going to do what he always does. He's going to go at him full force. We never know. It is a fight, but I think he's going to get it done. I can't wait until Khamzat is the rightful champion, the champion of the middleweight division, and then we'll see what happens. It's going to be an incredible ride. And for all you UFC fans, especially new UFC fans, enjoy this right now, because what we are hopefully about to witness, and I really do think I'm right, could be wrong, but I really do think I'm right. I think what we're about to witness is a rise to stardom and to fame that is going to be even sweeter and more enjoyable and more incredible than we saw Conor on the come up, John Jones on the come up, all these guys. It's so fun to watch somebody who is just levels above everybody else and just almost achieve the superhero status, at least for me, to see somebody break through the mold and achieve these tremendous achievements that we thought were impossible, make the impossible possible. That's inspirational for all of us as fans. And that's things that we can look at and take into our own challenges in our own lives. This is why the sport of mixed martial arts is amazing, because as much of it is a team journey, it's also a solo journey. Once you get in there, you're on your own. You have your team supporting you and helping you along the way. But then once you get in the mix, it's all on you. And for those of you who are like me, who maybe run your own business or feel that solo battle as a big part of your life, right? I don't know. It really resonates with me, and I hope it resonates with you too. And I hope you can enjoy it. And I hope you're as big of a fan of Khamzat as I am. So that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and leave a like if you did like this video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more from the 10-7 MMA channel. That's it. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you in the next video. Take it easy.